What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Shop Talk Tuesday. So in this episode, plus a few of the episodes that are going to be coming up, we're going to be doing them a little bit different because I'm going to be doing some of the build stuff on the giveaway knife in the actual episodes. And for like this one, we're going to be doing a lot of it out in the small shop because I'm going to start the forging process on this knife, and I'm going to be forging in between talking to y'all in between forging. So the goal is to be able to make this knife. Now, to give you a little rundown on what we're doing, for one, we're making this knife right here. So this is going to be the giveaway knife, and it's actually slightly modified from this. So this is the one that we drew on the paper over here in last week's Shop Talk Tuesday. So I took this one, cut it out, started putting it in my hand, seeing, okay, yeah, I kind of like this, I might want to modify something. And I modified it just slightly now that I've been able to put it in my hand. And I've changed up the handle just ever so slightly. Give it a little bit more dramatic hook down here. Kind of changed the way the center was here a little bit. And I actually changed the blade shape just a hair. Not much, but just a hair. It still has that recurve right there. I just took a little bit of the belly out to give it a little bit more of a point. And that gives us that right there. So you can see it hooks around your hand nicely. It's not super small, so somebody with slightly bigger hands than me can fit this very easily, and someone with slightly smaller hands than me can fit this knife very easily as well. So that's what we're going to be going with, that right there. Now, what still are we going to be forging this out of? We're going to forge it out of a chunk of 80 CRV2. So this is 1/4 inch thick 80 CRV2, and we're going to make this look like this. So yes, is there a slight difference in like length and everything? Yep. But we're going to be able to forge this to shape, and the whole goal is, you know, be able to take all this steel that's right here, extend it out, and we're going to be able to make this piece of steel look like this right here. My goal is to forge most of this because I don't want to cut off hardly any steel. So we're going to be beating this into this shape. Now, in this particular episode, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to start trying to isolate things out, stretch them out a little bit, because I know that everything from about here forward is going to be our blade, and everything from about here back is going to be our handle. So we've got to get in there and start pulling this out, stretching it out a little bit, and then start shaping it. Now, I'll be able to do some of the shapes as I'm going through, because the last thing you want to do is stretch this out right here super thin, and then I've got to make that hook right there. I don't want to have to do that. So there's going to be a lot of, you know, squeezing in and then stretching out. So we'll see how it goes. We're going to go swing a hammer, but let's go ahead. We're going to get into the shop. I'm going to go ahead and get this piece hot, and then we'll come back and we'll start messing with some stuff. So let's jump out there. Alright, so we're out in the small shop, and I know I'm going to be competing with the forge sound, but we're going to be doing forging stuff, so we're going to have to just deal with it. But my plan for this is, in between forging, I'm going to be talking to y'all about, you know, some questions people have asked me on the channel, like in the comment section or on Facebook and all that. Plus, I'll be talking about a few tips for forging this. Now, one of the things that I've already done is I've already forged it to where I stretched it out just a little bit to get closer to the height that I want, if you want to call it that, or the width. So what I did was I took the piece of steel and I forged it down to the tallest points right here. And how I know that is I took this, and on my anvil, right here where this steps up, put it right here, and I marked it with one of these handy dandy little guys right here. So I marked that so I know exactly how wide I can get this. And then I went ahead and measured from the tip of the horn back to the end of the template, so I know how long I need to stretch it, and I know what my end dimensions are for the most part going to be. So we have that on here. Now, like I said, I'm going to be doing a few simpler tips or anything like that that I remember while I'm doing this, but I'm also going to be answering questions. But for right now, we got some hot steel. We're going to hammer on it for a second, and we'll come back and talk some more. So I'll get y'all pointed back down here. Beginning of our tip. Now, not every Shop Talk Tuesday is going to be like this, where I'm out here forging and doing all this, but I figured this would be a pretty cool way to show y'all some of the behind the scenes of me forging the giveaway knife. And yeah, now I'm going to give y'all a choice here. I'm going to leave it up to y'all. Do y'all want me to do primarily most of the build during these episodes, or do you want me to focus on other things? I can do that. There's a whole reason behind the comment section down below. Make sure you go down there and comment. Now, one of the questions that I've been asked on the channel and a few different places is, how long have I been doing this? How long have I been making knives? Now, I've answered this in a few different videos, but might as well answer it now for anybody who's new. I've been, I guess, more or less focusing on making knives for just a little bit over a year. I've been doing this for just over a year and a half. You can actually go back and watch the first video that I made a knife in, where it was turning a knife into a file, and that was one of the first knives that I'd ever made out of something that wasn't a knife previously. You know, I've reshaped things and I've modified knives, but that was the first time that I actually took something that was completely not a knife and turned it into a knife. But I can go back there, definitely check that video out. Now, whenever I originally set off to do the channel, I wasn't expecting to be a knife channel, but you know, it is what it is. We've kind of tailored it to this because y'all loved this whole process. So that's what we're focusing on. But that was one of the questions, and then we had another question about the normalizing part, and I'm going to hit on that in just a second. We got some hot steel, let's beat on it. If I was to try and show all of the forging of this in this one video, this would be like a 45-minute to 1 hour long video. So of course, we're not doing that. We're going to be doing some of the stuff in this one. We're doing more stuff later on. But when it comes down to, I would have loved to have forged this whole entire thing in this video. And I'm going to let y'all choose something. Do y'all want me to do a few longer videos? Because for one, it'd be a lot less editing. But do y'all want me to do you know, a couple of videos where I show a forged knife from start to finish. If I do show y'all that with zero fast forwarding or zero time lapse, wow, it's snowing outside right now. It's pretty cool. If I show y'all any video without the time lapse, it is going to be a long video, but you know, I can always forge and then talk in between to at least take up some of that, but the forging process takes a little bit of time. It's not a super fast, instant thing. I can't knock this out in 10 minutes. You know, if Forged in Fire shows you anything, you know, they give them 3 hours to make a knife. If I tried to make a knife in 1 hour, I'd be doing pretty good. But what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to start trying to isolate the tip a little bit more, and I'm going to start dropping the tip down a little bit. Now, I'm only going to try and bring it just a little bit because I'm going to be forging this out and making it thinner. Right now it is still almost a 1/4 of an inch thick, and we want to get down to about 3/16 of an inch thick, primarily because a 1/4 of an inch thick is too thick for just a nice EDC / camp knife. It's going to be too thick and too heavy, so we definitely want to take this and get it down to about 3/16 of an inch at its maximum width. We don't want anything wider than that, but as we start thinning this and we stretch it out a little bit, it's going to get kind of just in the right sweet spot of thickness. But I am going to try and drop that tip down just a little bit, and then we're going to start trying to get some length out of it by making it thinner. And then once we get the blade kind of where we want it, we'll go ahead and start working on the handle and getting that where we want it, and then I'll start doing more of the dimensions and everything. So we're going to go ahead and pull it back out and start working on that tip a little bit more. Locked in here a little bit better. I've almost got most of the tongs that I need, but I'm not there yet. Start getting a little bit of a drop in here. I kind of want to drop it down just a little bit more, and then we'll start pulling this out. Now, I will tell you that a lot of the stuff that I learned in this process is purely based on just heating up steel, hammering on steel, heating up steel, hammering on steel, and slowly you start seeing the way it moves and what parts of your hammer move steel certain ways. Now, would it have probably been easier for me to go and take a class and learn how to do that? Yes, but I'm a person that likes to try things and figure it out, and I have an idea again about how to do metal moving and all that stuff because of my background in metal fabrication and stonework and moving material and all that stuff, so that does of course help. But a lot of the stuff that you're gonna, I guess, learn in forging and knife making and all of those things are gonna be by you taking material and doing something to it. You can watch all the videos out there on the internet, you can read every single book that there is, but that doesn't mean that you're gonna be able to make your body do something. The only way to get your body to know how to do something is to actually go out and do it. You know, you can read about being the best athlete. That doesn't mean that your body is going to be tailored to doing that thing. Well, I just use a sports analogy. Everybody I know uses sports analogies. I don't typically do that. But anyways, when it boils down to it, it's all about muscle memory. It's all about teaching your body how to do something and then being able to replicate that over and over and over again through replicating it over and over and over again. And you're going to learn different things as you go through this because you've practiced, you've done the wrong thing, and you know, okay, don't do the wrong thing anymore because that sucks and wastes time and wastes material. We're going to do it the right way. And as soon as you start getting used to that right way, then you're going to just modify it, perfect it. That's the way to do it. Got hot steel? We're going to hammer on it. Keep going. And I'm going to show y'all something real quick. Bring y'all up here. Camera just dropped off. Alright. So you can see that it's still got some color to it. It's not actually cold yet. You don't want to hammer on it when it's at that point because you're not really moving anything. At that point, you're more bouncing off of it than you are moving it. So as you're hitting it, you're just bouncing straight back off of it and not actually moving it anywhere. So you want to make sure that whenever you start getting cold steel, that you stop. Put it in the forge, let it heat back up so that you're hammering on really malleable steel, which is what I'm doing right now. I got it back in the forge. I want to do the least amount of work possible because this is a very work hard thing. So if I can get it hot again, forge it out, have a lot easier time hammering on it, I'm going to do that. So when it comes to doing these things, like I said, it's all about muscle memory. It's all about learning how to do it through actually doing it. And again, I know that a lot of people can watch the YouTube world and kind of live vicariously through them. If you're into that, awesome. If you just like watching people make knives or you like the sounds of people making knives, cool, more power to you. You know, it's an awesome thing to watch. If you're wanting to get into doing this, you don't have to have anything super expensive. So one of the videos that I watched today was Kyle Royer making a knife with very, 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 very simple stuff. Very simple. I mean, he had one of the smallest Harbor Freight anvils that had like no horn on it whatsoever, and he was using that and a little bitty one burner tiny Amazon forge, and he forged a really nice knife and then used hand files to do almost all of the other work to that knife, which is crazy. It's a beautiful knife. He did amazing work. Now he's a master bladesmith or mastersmith, but just absolutely beautiful knife with almost no huge things. He didn't use a 2x72. Didn't even use a 1x30. He just used files, a tiny forge, and a little anvil, and knocked out an awesome knife. So it's doable to do all this without a bunch of expensive things, without a $1,000 anvil or something like that, or $2,000 depending on how much they charge nowadays. But got hot steel. Let's do this, and we'll talk about it some more in just a second. y'all want me to do more of this in the actual videos, I see, this is my first time actually doing like this type of stuff. I've done a couple of videos where I've done a little bit of forging and talking and things like that. This is my first Shop Talk Tuesday to really focus on a knife build and do this. So if y'all like this particular format, let me know. If y'all think that I should go back to the previous format, cool. I'm definitely not going to be doing this for every single Shop Talk Tuesday moving forward, but again, I thought that this would be a cool time for me to actually show y'all what I'm going to be building for the giveaway, and y'all actually get to see that while I'm answering questions and talking about things. So one of the other things that I wanted to hit on was the fact that, again, we're in the forge shop, and right now this is an 11 by 11. So 11 feet by 11 feet, and it's got my forge, my propane, a workbench, 2 anvils now, and the roof is all of maybe 7 feet tall, and that's where the ceiling joists are. Now, I cannot wait for this to be a 20 foot by 16 foot. It's going to be quite a bit larger, and one of the things that I was thinking about was the way that I'm going to build it. I'm going to end up doing in this back corner, almost, if you can imagine this, from this wall right here to about 5 feet past it, that's going to be just a grinding room. And then from this wall here to, let's do the math on that, about another 4 feet past that is going to be the rest of the shop. So we're from this wall to that direction, we're adding on another 4 feet, or 4 feet past the 11 feet wide that it is. Math, there's all kinds of math there. And then of course we're adding 5 feet to the overall width. So it's gonna be about 5 feet that way, from where that wall where y'all are at pretty much ends. There will be 5 feet past that, and it is just gonna be nice and large, and I cannot wait for it. In that room, the grinding room, we're going to have the kind of dust collection system / filtration system and all that in there. And the rest of this is just going to be open area. I am going to end up doing a welding table. One of the things that I hate right now is I kind of weld on whatever I can weld on, but I'm going to end up building a rolling table that is automatically hooked up to the welder, so that I can just set stuff on it, weld it, call it good. I don't have to have it clamped onto the material that I'm welding at that time. So we're going to have one of those. I am going to, of course, have the forge set up and everything. I've got a 7.5 pound propane tank right now. I'm going to be upgrading to probably maybe a 10 pound, maybe larger than that, propane bottle. I might go with one of the large ones, but if I do that, I pretty much have to have them come fill it here. Trying to take one of those bottles somewhere is not super easy, so if I go to maybe a 10 pound or 2 10-pound bottles, those are ones that I can refill at my work, because being in the RV business, we have propane refill stations at our 2 locations, and it makes it a lot easier. But we'll talk more about that here in just a second. Let's beat on some steel. I'm starting to set up right there is just where the recurve is going to be. I'm going to end up bringing this down just a little bit, and I'm going to bring that tip down even more on the next heat. Now that we're getting it closer to the thickness that we want, that about 3/16 of an inch, I can start kind of doing some of the blade shape. I'm not going to fully finish the blade shape until I get the handle shaped, and or at least the tang shaped. But what I'm going to do on this is I'll probably do a little bit more shaping on the blade, and I'll probably set up where the handle's going to be, and then in the next Shop Talk Tuesday I'll go ahead and finish doing the handle shape, and then refine the blade a little bit so that y'all be able to see that process. But what we'll end on this one is just getting the blade kind of where we want it, and then like I said, on the next Shop Talk Tuesday, and now this is all going to rely on y'all. If y'all want me to do that part of the next Shop Talk Tuesday or do something else, y'all let me know. If y'all are interested in me doing the rest of the foraging on this, I'm going to give y'all a couple of days to really decide that, and then we can kind of go from there. I know this is going to be a longer video, but hopefully y'all are digging the fact that I've got some foraging going on in it. And it's not just a long video because I decided to talk the entire time. Now, going back to the talking part, one of the things that we are going to do in this, we're still going to do a viewer's knife submission, and after this heat and bang that we're about to do, we'll go ahead and we'll talk about that. So let's get it. Okay, so you can see there, we got our recurve going on right here. It's a lot easier to see in person, but on this next little heat, we're going to bring this in a little bit more, and we're going to start rounding the belly up a little bit. So let's get into that. Now, a lot of work, but you get like just almost instant gratification out of it. Now when it comes to the viewer's knife section for this, I saw one of the knives that I liked on the actual Facebook page. Again, if you haven't, if you're not part of the Facebook page, that guy right there, I'm gonna end up showing y'all a cutaway for this knife right here. This is by Ed Richards right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna do a cutaway real quick and talk to y'all about it. Y'all of course hear the forge in the background, but I'll talk to you about this while we're waiting for that. So let's cut away now. So this knife is by, again, Ed Richards. It is made of 80 CRB2, and which is cool because that's what we're working with right now. It is acid etched and stone washed. Has a really good finish on that blade. I really like that. It's stabilized bloodwood handle scales with yellow liners and stainless pins with a lanyard tube. I really like the profile on this knife, and I think he did a great job. So this knife was a modification because he said it was a failed chunky type EDC cleaver, but I think it turned out into a really good EDC shaped knife, and I think it did a great job. Now, I know that he's interested to hear what y'all think about his knife, so y'all definitely go in the comment section and tell Ed what y'all thought about that knife. I think that it was beautiful, just a nice classic knife shape, just beautiful for an EDC, and I would love to have one like that. I mean, that is great. He did a great job on that, and Ed, I think he pulled that one off for something that was originally going to be a failed knife and turned into that. I don't think it was ever meant to be an EDC cleaver style knife. I think it was meant to be that knife, and you just didn't know it yet until whatever happened to make you go to that point. So sometimes it still tells you what it's going to be. Now, I'm going to tell this still what it's going to be, so let's hammer on it some more. We're starting to see that recurve and a little bit more gradual upsweep. Now this doesn't have a huge drop point, but you can start seeing kind of where this knife is going to be right here. Now we can technically round it even a little bit more and drop it just a little more, but you can start seeing that shape kind of form there. Back in the forge here. Now, I think that either on this heat or the next one, we'll be able to call it on this because we'll have this roughly shaped how we want it going into the handle. But again, I want to know what y'all think about me doing all this stuff on a Shop Talk Tuesday, and for the Shop Talk Tuesday being probably like 25-30 minutes, but it is what it is. So with this little piece of steel that we had, we've been able to draw it out almost all the way to the length that we want. So we'll pull it out for a couple of seconds here, then we can go back in. So if y'all remember how much shorter we were before, you can see that we're already getting to almost the length of this knife just from the little bit of forging that we did. I mean, we needed about 2.5 inches going into this. Now we're only about maybe 3/4 of an inch short. So by the time I'm done with this, I'll have plenty of length to be able to get to this shape. You know, it's all about kind of planning out where you're going to be and what the goal is. Because once I start forging out that tang, we're going to have steel left over. Not a ton, but a little bit. And especially because that tang is still, it's in between 3/16 of an inch and 1/4 of an inch right now. But we're gonna have plenty of steel, and we still got stuff to refine a little bit. But like I said, hopefully after we get this heat, I'm gonna call it a heat and beat. After we get this little section finished out, we'll have plenty to go into the tang. And again, this is going to be all tailored on y'all. This is going to be based on what y'all say, if I should keep doing this during the Shop Talk Tuesdays or not. Adjust this pressure. Alright. I'm doing this in the forge welding forge. It's a lot smaller, so that's why it's getting hot so quick. If I was in the larger forge, it would be more time in between getting it into the forge and it get to temp, but because it's in this smaller forge, it's going a lot faster. get y'all down here. Now we got a little bit more gradual upsweep on the belly here. I'm feeling more comfortable with that. We're going to do a little bit more hammering on it to get it the right thickness that we want, and then call it done. So the next heat treat, we'll call it, or heat treat, the next heat beat, we'll call it done. Okay, bring y'all back up here. Now, one of the things that I want to talk about, because I just thought about it with me talking about getting a larger propane bottle, that's one of the things that I see a lot. So whenever people first start getting into forging and start getting into this process, they'll go and they'll buy one of the bottles that you can swap out at like gas stations or your Walmarts or your home improvement stores and stuff like that, the little 5-pound bottles. And a lot of people will get those propane tanks to do this process. And I'll tell you, you don't want to do that. If anything, a 7.5-pound bottle is the smallest you need. 2 reasons. For one, you're going to run out of propane super fast unless you have a super efficient forge. Also, these bottles start cooling from the bottom, and they'll actually get frost on them and freeze the whole bottom. And as that bottom gets cold, it starts restricting the flow of propane. So you want to get a larger bottle because it's going to be able to run longer than the little bitty bottles, because they're going to freeze real quick and it's going to start barely pumping out propane. So you need to make sure that you're using a larger bottle, especially if you're in an area kind of like this where it stays pretty cold. You just want to make sure that you're getting the right size bottle for what you plan on doing. If you're planning on just heat treating, you can get the smaller bottles, but if you're planning on forging, you're going to need a larger bottle, because you're going to go through your propane so fast that you're going to be in the middle of forging, you're going to run out of propane, and it's not going to be good. You'll have to go get propane and get everything going again. You might as well just get a larger bottle right off the bat. Nobody tells y'all that, but hopefully, you know, y'all learn from everybody's mistakes, to include mine, and you get a larger bottle. Alright, let's beat on this for the last time. Bring you back up here. I'm gonna get a better, there we go. So that right there is roughly our blade shape. So we've got recurve right here. It's a very subtle recurve. We got our recurve right there. It'll stand out more once we start moving this area in and drawing it out for the handle itself. That is the beginnings of this knife right here. So as you start seeing it right there. Boom. So it'll start looking more like this. Like I said, as soon as we start drawing in this area right here, you'll start seeing that, and then plus we'll have a little bit more arch to the spine here. But once this starts coming up, it'll start looking more and more like this. But that's what we're going to be doing on the next video. If that's what y'all decide for us to do on the next video, is drawing out that tang and then going ahead doing some of the finish work. We're done with at least most of the forging of this. Yeah, again, y'all let me know if y'all like this format, the forever long format, and yeah, I'm interested to see what y'all think, because again, one of the longest videos I've done, and just really interested to see what y'all think. So guys, that's the end of this one. If y'all would, let me know in the comment section again what y'all think about this format. Also, give this video a thumbs up, share this video or one of my other videos. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell so you get notified of the stuff that we have that's coming up. And guys, I just want to thank y'all for coming by. Thank y'all for watching this video if y'all watched the whole entire thing. Remember, this is the knife that we're doing for the giveaway. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Y'all have an amazing day. Y'all stay safe out there. I'll catch y'all next time.